Viktor Frankl called it saying yes to life in spite of everything. And I leaned on three things at once: grit, the willingness to show up tired; skill, the protocols to do it safely; and kindness, permission to actually enjoy it. Act 1, the math that shouldn't work. In episode 3, I told you about the nervous system crash. Hoarse voice, legs like wet concrete, a ghost whispering in my head that something is truly wrong. That was the terror of surrender. The payoff often comes around the corner, after the hard moments. And this payoff surprised even me. This morning I looked at my Aura data and 1 hour and 6 minutes of deep sleep. This is the first time in weeks I broke the 1 hour mark. And for some that might not be a lot, but mind you, I am recovering from one of the most notoriously difficult and painful surgeries one can have. So 3 full cycles of deep sleep felt like magic in my bones. My body didn't just dip a toe into recovery, it dove in, surfaced, and went back down again twice. And here's the part that should stop you. I did that on 6 hours and 23 minutes of total sleep, less than I normally get, because life does not pause for the experiment. I was out late the night before because I chose to prioritize fun and camaraderie of my monthly Dad's Night Out group. But I still had to be up at dawn to make breakfast for the kids and get them to school. Less sleep, deeper recovery. By every rule of biohacking, that math should not work. So what actually happened? Act 2, the void. Rewind 12 hours. The day before, I did something my body was not ready for. I did power yoga and I ended up twisting a rib cage that was surgically reconstructed earlier. So that night, I did some rib raking and I was mechanically breaking up 24 years of scar tissue on my diaphragm. The fallout was immediate. My skin got red and itchy, my stomach turned as my organs settled into place, and my voice reduced to a whisper because my vagus nerve got shot. And underneath all of it, the ghost. That wordless sense that something is terribly wrong. So here's where most people, the old me included, could get it backward. The smart move looks like staying home, right? Honoring the sickness, resting, closing the door and waiting it out. But I recalled something my mentor once said to me about being an unwelcoming host to the ghost. You don't want that voice to settle in and call the shots. And nature does not tolerate a vacuum. So when you clear out old trauma, you open up a new space. And if you do not consciously fill that space with something good, the old familiar patterns rush back in to fill it for you. I did not need more rest. I needed resonance. I had a standing Dad's Night Out on the calendar, and every excuse in my head told me to cancel. Now, I know the difference between sucking it up and pretending it doesn't hurt, which is actually ignoring what your body needs, and doing the thing anyway, which is wisdom overriding a mood. So this is not about forcing yourself to push through. Control says grit your teeth and suck it up, or lock the door and hide out until it passes. Regulation says something different. Choose the input on purpose and let your body do what it already knows how to do. I decided isolation was the bigger threat, not fatigue, and I leaned on 3 things at once. Grit, the willingness to show up tired; skill, the protocols to do it safely; and kindness, permission to actually enjoy it. Act 3, saying yes on purpose. Viktor Frankl called it saying yes to life in spite of everything. And that was the mantra. I went to the pub, but I did not leave my biology at the door. I used 3 moves once again. They were all deliberate and not accidental. 1, I ordered a non-alcoholic Guinness. I wanted the ritual, the pint with the guys, the connection. I did not want the alcohol. My liver was already busy clearing histamine from the day before, and ethanol on top of that would have wrecked my nervous system. 2, earlier that same day, I had coffee with my mom, and then we went together to our kids' winter concert at school. Now, real, unhurried contact with people I love and witnessing my kids in their elements making music. I used a slow breath into my body and a soft smile behind the eyes to actually let those moments land, and almost like I could digest them instead of just rushing past them. Because connection with people you love is not just nice, it is medicine. Safe social contact produces oxytocin, and oxytocin is one of the more potent anti-inflammatories your body makes on its own. I was using connection to cool down a system that was already inflamed from the night before. And then 3, at the pub, every laugh, every good moment, I held it, again, as if I could ingest it, not for a second, but for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. The brain automatically errs to the side of survival, which means it's like Velcro for the bad and Teflon for the good. But 20 seconds is roughly what it takes to actually install something instead of losing it. That skill, training your attention to actually open to the good and deeply savor it with attention and intention instead of skating past it, is the whole heart of something I teach for free called Extra and Open Attention. It is one small piece pulled straight out of the 30D reset, and it was the exact muscle I was using at the pub table. We'll put a link in the description if you want to check out the guide for the free meditations. Then, when I got home, I did not just collapse into bed. I landed the plane. A spoon of raw honey, mouth tape for nasal breathing, 5 quiet minutes of yoga nidra, closing the loops of the day before I let myself go under. I left before the karaoke started because as much as I want to have fun, I'm over being around for the slurred words and sloppy part of the night. So I was asleep before 11, and even saying yes has an edge. So why it actually all worked. You could read all of that and think, tape on his mouth, honey before bed, sounds like either crazy or something your grandmother would tell you to do. It is not folklore, it is precise. The honey matters because your brain runs almost entirely on glucose, and it runs hardest during deep sleep. So if your liver's glycogen tank empties around 3 in the morning, which is typical, your body panics and dumps cortisol and adrenaline to wake you up to go find fuel. So a small amount of honey before bed keeps that tank full enough that your brain never has to sound the alarm to wake you up. Now, the mouth tape matters because nasal breathing keeps carbon dioxide in your blood at a healthy level, and mouth breathing blows off too much of it. CO2 is part of what actually helps your body deliver oxygen where it is needed, something physiologists call the Bohr effect. So more nasal breathing, more stable CO2, a calmer brainstem, and fewer, or none, ideally, of those gasping wake-ups where your brain thinks it's suffocating. Plus, skipping the real Guinness mattered because alcohol looks calming for the first few hours and then it flips on you. Have you ever noticed that? Somewhere around 4 hours later, it produces a rebound of excitatory chemistry that makes you anxious, fragments your sleep, and can tank your heart rate variability. Non-alcoholic, kept the ritual, and skipped the penalty box. Act 5, the test. Here is the actual proof. And it's not the sleep score, it's what happened at 3 in the morning. A crash. Tanya, my wife, didn't sleep well, and she was up in the middle of the night. She dropped something downstairs. It was loud. The old me, pre-surgery and with a low HRV, that sound would have ended the night. Wired and tired is the pattern most people live in without a name for. That crash would have flipped the switch straight into it. Cortisol spike, heart hammering, primal biology stoked to stalk down the potential threat to my family, awake for the rest of the dark, exhausted night, unable to rest at the same time. But this time was different. I checked that Tanya was okay, I confirmed that nothing was wrong, and then I dropped right back in. That third cycle of deep sleep, the one I told you about at the start, happened after the crash, not before it, after it. And that win means a lot to me. That win was never that the house stayed quiet. The win is that my system is resilient enough to handle the noise and still come back down. That is the actual difference between control and regulation. Control needs to keep the noise out. Regulation can handle what arises, do what it needs to do anyway. So, in closing, we spend a fortune chasing biohacks, supplements, gadgets, cold plunges. Last night cost me nothing but a powerful choice. Show up tired, protect the sleep on purpose, let the good moments land instead of rushing past them. Most people think they need to heal in order to thrive, and I'm telling you and proving it with my own data that it works the other way. We need to thrive in order to heal. Joy is not a mood that you wait for. It is a biological signal, and you can build the conditions for it on purpose, even on a bad night, even with a hole in your bucket that is not yet fixed. Please do not wait until you feel fixed to go live your life. If I had waited until I was not tired to walk out that door, I would still be sitting at home waiting, feeling sorry for myself as the dad's messages and pics rolled through our WhatsApp telling of the good times that they were having. Fill the bucket before it empties. That's the whole method for the benefit of all. I'm Michael Boyle. I am patient 0. And today, the ghost stayed quiet because the house is full. Welcome to the experiment.